Well, my main advice is it's not too late. I tell myself that every day. Uh, I think that one important thing for older women to remember is that you have like more wisdom, more creativity, more life experience, all like more of all the things that make you a better artist, not less. And I think that older women often come in to the career, or older people in general, not just women, thinking like, oh, how am I going to compete with young people? But actually, you bring way more um, to the space because of your age, and I think that makes your work better. And I think it's important to like use that in storytelling, like use your life experience and what you've learned about what makes a good life, to make your work better. Well, two things. First of all, everyone has a story. So in the book, I talk a lot about how important it is to really get clear about like all the stuff that you're interested in or that is like part of your life experience, and write those things down, because I think sometimes we think, oh, I'm just a boring person, like I don't really have a story or there's nothing interesting about me. But if you really dig into your past, you'll find everybody has an interesting story. Everybody has an interesting path. Everyone has highs and lows and challenges. So finding those things, even if that's not what your work is going to be about, but like finding those things to kind of remind yourself how rich your story and life is, and like how special you are, is really important. The other piece of advice I would say, one thing you can do is like practice. I think a lot of times people assume that if you pick up a pencil and you start drawing, that immediately you should be really good at it. And it takes years to become proficient at drawing, first of all, and then to like find a way of drawing that is completely your own takes even longer. And so you have to be really patient and you have to work hard at it. And then eventually, all of a sudden, one day you'll wake up and you'll be like, oh my gosh, like I can draw and I can draw in my own style. But you have to just keep doing it every single day, because it's not like this magic pill that you take, you have to work at it. And that's good news, right? Because it's not like having access to the magic pill. It's actually everyone has access to practice. Like everyone can practice. So it's very democratic. Anyone can become a good artist as long as you work hard at it. Okay, so I'm going into the future.
No, to the past.
Oh, to the past, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You cannot imagine what you will be doing in 10 years. Like if 10 years ago you had told me that I would be here, that I would, have a museum show, that I would have written so many books, that I would have like a studio with like 2 full-time employees and be working for like really prestigious clients, I would never have believed you. And so you just don't know what's going to happen. And that is kind of like special and magical, So I think that untying myself from productivity has been this kind of like really absorbing the understanding that in order to be in order to thrive creatively, you have to have time away from work. So your best ideas come to you when you're like in the middle of the night, when you're in the shower, when you're riding your bike, when you're on your skateboard doing nothing, right? That's because the brain likes spaciousness, and that's when we get all of our ideas. And so if you're working all of the time, your work actually becomes less innovative, and definitely less joyful because you're like, oh, I have to do this thing. I have to. You're doing it because you should. So, one of the things that I did was I forced myself to go to a 4 day work week. So, I only work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, I take the day off. I go ride my bike. I hang out with my friends. I bake bread. And I have like space to think. And that's when I get all my ideas. And so, understanding how that works, that you need space and time to be creative made me invest in having free time and downtime and not working all the time. Like I realized I was going to be a better artist if I had more free time. You're not going to be a better artist if you work more. Yes, practice is important, as I just said. Like you want to show up in practice for sure, but you also want to give yourself time to just be human and not work. And I figured that out finally. Everything is an experiment. Yeah. I think that forces us to not take our work too seriously, you know? Did you know I just had a show with her in California? Yeah. So my museum show that I just had, she was in the same, like they invited me to have a show with her. And I made some work that's devoted to her. So, anyways, we can talk about that later, but she's also one of my heroes. So that was like a life moment for me. So her body of work, Heroes and Sheroes, was in the gallery next to mine. And then, so my work was like made in conversation with hers. Isn't that cool? Yeah, yeah. I love all her rules, but that was my favorite. Okay, so my favorite piece of music to listen to when I feel brokenhearted is Barber's Adagio. So it is a piece of classical music, and I can give you the link so that if you want to listen to it, it's like the saddest piece of music I've ever heard. And it always makes me cry. And I feel like when I'm brokenhearted or something's broken my heart, like crying, like releasing my emotion always makes me feel better. So it's a sad piece of music, but in the end, it like serves a purpose because it gets me to like release my emotion. So yeah.